everyone, it's Lindsay Ballet with She Works Abroad, and today I want to mention some international interview bloopers. This was inspired by a question that I had that came in from the group, which was, is it normal or common or even okay that all of a sudden international companies are asking to do interviews via video, either by Skype or WhatsApp or sometimes even FaceTime? So the answer is yes. This is normal. It's super common. Even typically if you're interviewing in your own country but maybe in a different city, you're going to set up some sort of video chat. And I have even seen now a lot of companies go the way of asking for a video in advance where you talk about your interest in the role before they even go into interviews with you. So using video is actually something that I think is amazing. On video right now, because you get to be able to express yourself and they get to see your face and hear your voice and watch your mannerisms and everything like that. And that makes it much more exciting and enticing for them to have a conversation with you during the interview and for you to get to meet and see them as well. So very, very common. But I want to also talk a little bit about what it's like having an international interview. And the best way I can do this is, I think, through a story. So when I was interviewing for my very first job internationally in the Middle East, I was actually in market. So I had traveled there, I was traveling there for school, and I swung by a city to have an interview. And I was prepared for that interview. I did all the things that you would do to prepare for an interview. I read about the company, I researched the team, I looked at who I was going to be interviewing with. I tried to do as much knowledge gathering as I could. Now, one of the questions that came my way was not so much a question about the company or my skill set or what I was good at. It was a cultural type of question. And I'm curious what you would have said. The question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, how much do you respect authority? Okay. Now, in my head, I was like, I think I know where this is going, but I'm going to have to take a risk. Now, in the United States, if I was in the U.S. and answering that question in the U.S., I would have a different answer than if I was asked that question in the Middle East. And the reason is I have to apply context, right? I have to apply cultural context to that question. And that is the difference, my friends, between domestic interviewing and international interviewing. Because if you reply with a domestic type of response, you might miss the mark. And the question here was really asking me, could I ebb my style and flex my style in order to fit into the Middle Eastern market? My skill set, my everything in terms of how I could work successfully there. Was I willing to flex and mold my U.S. style to fit in the Middle East? Now, this wasn't something that I'm not willing to flex on everything, right? I'm not willing to go, if I was a 1 in terms of my respect for authority, to become a 10 because I live someplace else. That's not it at all. But it's about the context, right? Being able to know that you have the cultural capability to bend and ebb and flow as you need to in order to be successful in a foreign market and working successfully in a foreign market. So in the U.S., my answer to this question would be different than what it was in the Middle East. If you want to know what my answer was, it was a 10. Because I knew through my due diligence, through my knowledge of the region and through what I could decipher was very important, was hierarchy. Hierarchy was really important in authority, and going with authority, even though there's sometimes when it might be uncomfortable, but backing your boss is the culturally important thing to do. And if you want to have a conversation with them about going a different way or having a different viewpoint, it's behind closed doors. It's never out in the open in front of everyone else. So I said it was a 10. In the US, it'd probably be a 6. But I knew that my capabilities of being able to be successful in that market meant that I was going to have to do more to respect authority there. I give this as an example because people go into interviews all the time and they tell me that they were passed up by a candidate that had more experience, that knew the local language, that didn't need a visa, and I always ask, what type of cultural questions were you asked? occasionally someone will say, they ask me about my race or my religion or my background, and they're just flabbergasted. They can't believe that they were asked if they were married or single during an interview, because that, my friends, is illegal in the United States. But it is not illegal in many other countries, in a lot of countries that you might be interviewing for. They are allowed to ask those types of questions and other cultural questions as well. So don't get hung up there. And we talk about this all the time and She Works Abroad in my Your Global Career program, the cultural necessities that you need to know walking into an interview so that you come out and they think that person understands what it takes to be successful in this market and in this business. And that's what you want them to be saying. All right, everyone, take care.